Good morning, Colts Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the No Horsing Around podcast, brought to you exclusively by the Lounge Room Network. As always, we are two dudes talking Colts, two dudes back together for the first time in several videos. We're your hosts, Steven and Zach. And man, we've got to start the episode off. First rate, review, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff that we always talk about. But obviously, news broke today. We're going to jump right into it, man. We got to jump right into the Carson Wentz stuff.
Man, you're exactly right. There's no way around this, Stephen. I mean, obviously, for the listeners, this is going to be a Carson Wentz, Jacob Eason, whatever you want to call it, Brett Hundley, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a big quarterback-centric podcast just because that's the issue right now. We're going through this. Found out today, Frank Reich spoke, said this rehab is going to be 5 to 12 weeks. That's a pretty broad. We talked about this off air. That's a pretty broad, discrepancy. 5 to 12 weeks is a long time, and it could be a big difference between the type of season that the Indianapolis Colts, want to have or hope to have. I guess my instant reactions are just I feel bad for Carson more than anything, just because I really think he was mentally in a very good place. He looked like he was comfortable in this system. He looked really good. I mean, we got a very small sample size, but he threw that bomb to Zach Pascal, and then I think shortly thereafter he felt that bone or whatever, kind of popping in his foot, and then things kind of went downhill from there. News kind of accelerated. Frank Reich rebutted all of the media pundits saying that surgery was always what was going to happen. This was never going to be a rehab thing. It needed to be repaired surgically. I think they wanted a better base of timeline, how to go about rehabbing it and how to making it feel better. But my instant reactions are, man, it was a gut shot. I'd be a liar to tell you, Steven, that it didn't set me back a little bit, and I'm interested in your thoughts, man. What were just your first reaction, your thoughts when you heard that news today in real time?
Yeah, so it's really funny, like for me at least, was so this entire time, we've been talking through all of this, that, we had our curiosities. We were trying to stay kind of level-headed throughout the entire stuff of, hey, they're saying could be minor, it's not major, could need surgery, maybe not. You had a lot of national pundits out there saying just a whole lot of stuff, taking it. It was like wildfire. No one knew anything, so everyone thought they knew everything. And it was really hard. And so, I go to bed last night to the news Carson's going to rehab. Like, okay, he's going to rehab. He's going to try to play through this. He's going to rest. Let's see. And then I'm sitting in my office with two Titans fans today when literally I'm talking to them about Carson Wentz, and my phone, I get the alert from the Colts app. Carson's having surgery. And I'm like, oh my, I mean, yeah, I'm with you, man. It's a punch in the gut. It was like, man, you're so excited. And it all changed in a matter of just, like that. Suddenly he's popped his foot. It just sounds so fluky. And as a Colts fan, we're so used to this. But I mean, after I've settled, me and you were talking, the 5 to 12 week time frame is interesting because it's so wide. I think I posted something about that it's such a wide time frame. But I think you said it best too, is that because we don't really know what's going to happen with his rehab. I'm trying to stay really level-headed with this whole situation. He's not a 1 year, stopgap quarterback. He is hopefully the quarterback of the future for them, is the idea that they have. So, I mean, I'm trying to stay calm. Yeah. I'm trying to stay calm throughout this. I'm hoping, let's say me and you were talking, let's say he's out 6 weeks. Let's go 6 to 7 weeks. You're looking at him missing the first couple of games of the season. It's not the end of the world, especially if you're viewing him as this quarterback who's going to be potentially you're going to build around, which is everything that we've read, everything that we've heard. That is the case. They want to build around Carson. So get him right, get him healthy. It sucks. It really sucks. Like I literally, I think I logged off of Twitter for a little bit today because I got tired of Eagles fans, really and truthfully. Eagles fans just all in the mentions. And I mean, it is what it is. It's a crappy hand. You want him to get healthy. You want to see what happens. I mean, we're going to see. Obviously, where everyone's watching now because everyone thinks that the Colts are going to make some big move, which I'm interested to get your take on that. Do you think, that they're going to make some move? Obviously, the big stuff today was the super odd press conference from Nick Foles. You're employed by the Bears, and you are talking about the best coach you've ever had is Frank Reich. I mean, it was so odd. I think a Bears fan, the president of our network is a huge Bears fan. And I want to say he's like, I'd cut him. I'd have cut him right now. He's the third stringer talking about playing for a different team.
Yeah, man, that was, dude. I mean, yeah, it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, I've never seen a guy actually. It was almost like a job interview. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
odd.
Take me, come get me, take me from this team. Like, I don't want to be here. I want to go play for you. It was just a really, really weird thing. Getting back on track, I guess to your original question, what do they do? I think the big thing is, Stephen, is we don't know a good concrete timeline. And when you've got 5 weeks and 12 weeks, we're talking about two different things, right? We're talking about missing a couple games. We're talking about almost a half a season. So that's where we're at with everything right there. And I think that dictates – I think there was a report earlier from Chris Mortensen saying as of right now, Colts don't have plans to go out and sign a guy like a Minshew, a Mariota, a Nick Foles, or trade for a guy like that, for the simple fact that they still feel like that there's a potential – for him to get through this thing fairly quickly and be back by week 2, 3, 4 at the latest. Mm-hmm. But that being said, you just don't know. They don't know how he's going to respond to it. They don't know how the rehab's going to react. They're certainly not going to rush him back and just have to go through this over and over and over again. So for now, just like it is on the screen, Jacob Eason is QB1. I mean, that's what it is. They're going to roll with him. I'll be honest with you. I'll give you my take. I'm very interested in your take. I think the Colts, especially Twitter world, is really split. I think there's there's a faction that says Eason. And then there's a faction that's very hesitant. I would word it as cautiously optimistic is the way I'm looking at Jacob Eason. He's not looked good thus far, but what do we really have to base that off of, right? Like we're looking at 2 or 3 practices for a guy who thought, this time last week that thought he was challenging for the backup role and just trying to make this football team. Now he's a starting quarterback, right? And we don't know how long that's going to be. This is a chance of a lifetime. I think the biggest hurdle that Eason's going to have to get over is the fact that he can't rely on his fastball and his big arm all the time. There's going to have to be touch throws. I think everybody saw the catch that Pittman had over Marvell Tell where he just ripped that ball that was underthrown over the top of his head. But that wasn't a good pass, man. I mean, you can call it what you want to call it. That was a good catch by Pittman. That wasn't an NFL throw. That wasn't what you need in games. Really, really special cornerbacks will track that ball and they'll intercept that ball. Or at the very least knock that ball down and it won't be a completion. So I think Frank Reich is going to have a different mindset with him. Now that we have Frank Reich in there, I hope Reich starts pushing him and saying, listen, let's get it all out right now. If we're going to make mistakes, let's make the mistakes this week and next week and then the following week. Let's don't make the mistake when we're lining up against Russell Wilson, running out there, or we got a Matthew Stafford on the other side of the field, or Jalen Ramsey week 2. Can you imagine Jacob Eason having to throw to Jalen Ramsey's side? I mean, that's difficult for any quarterback. I don't care if you're Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I don't care who you are. Much less a guy who is a second-year quarterback. He didn't get the reps like he was supposed to last year. I mean, that's not his fault. COVID is the reason for that. And now he's thrust into this role. And I'm very interested to see what Frank Reich does with Jacob Eason. I feel like if this is going to be closer to 12 weeks, I prefer to have a veteran presence in there. That's just my preference. And there's no knock on Eason, and I want Eason to do well. I mean, I really do. I think the one thing that kind of frustrates me sometimes, especially in sports, is that just because I don't think Eason is the greatest option for our football team does not mean I don't support him. I think a lot of times, sports kind of has a little bit of a hard time seeing that, and that's important for people who listen to this podcast and listen to our content to know that I'm cautiously optimistic with Eason. That being said, I want to be realistic and I want to live in the now. I don't want to live in hypotheticals. I want to live with what we're seeing right now. And right now, quite frankly, we're not seeing great stuff from them, but that doesn't mean that can't change, and that can't change real fast. Sorry, Steven, I got so long-winded, but that was really important to me.
No, you're good, man. I mean, and I'm similar but different, like we always are. Is one thing I want to say too before I kind of comment with Eason is me and you talked too. I think the wildfire that started with his injury last week would have been handled very differently had Reich been in the building. Me and you had talked a little bit about that over last week, that I don't think Marcus Brady, handled it as well as he could have in the beginning. I think Reich came in, and it was like, no, we're not rehabbing. It's surgery. It's done. 12 weeks. Like, Reich knew what to do. He knows how to handle the team. I think it would have handled very differently last week. Hell, he may have already had the surgery if Reich was there last week. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I wanted to get that off. With Eason, I'm with you on the fact that Colts fans and Colts Nation seems very, very divided. It is, you either really like him or you really don't. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground, and I'm with you. I'm going to live in the middle ground. It's not sexy, it's not cool, but I'm going to live in the middle ground with him. Is that there are built-in caveats on why he probably looks the way he looks right now. I think Kevin Bowen said it. He had 32 snaps in training camp last year, and then he was inactive basically. And we all know, like, well documented, like, he got a ton of his work after practice with Coach Brady with a couple of receivers. And then, like you said too, he came into this camp, hey, I'm battling for the backup. I'm not beating Wentz. I'm not the starter. And suddenly he is. Suddenly he is as Reich said in his press conference today, he's like, hey, it's your team, dude. Go. Like, it's yours. QB1. Let's do this. And it's going to be interesting to see. He's not looked good. The running joke is that Bobby Okereke is his favorite wide receiver right now. He's thrown four? I think four. I don't know how he did today. I haven't looked as of the recording of this podcast.
3 interceptions so far.
So did he have any? I don't know how he looked. So he had those over the weekend, I think. I don't know, man. I don't know where I sit with him. Where I differ from you on the fact is, even if it goes to the 12, I don't think I want to go and spend the capital to get a veteran, a Nick Foles, a Gardner Minshew. 12 sucks. It's not even half the season, technically. I think it's week 7, so you still have about 10 games left. Carson coming in. The toughest thing with this whole situation, as much as we like it, it is really, it's the timeline. The timeline is the toughest thing to understand, because if he responds well, he could be there week 2. And I think it's really important to note too that Frank said that he's doing nothing for 2 weeks. Like, we won't get a new time frame for at least 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We won't get a shorter one. Now, once we hit that mark, we'll start to see a little bit more. We'll start to understand, how is he responding to the rehab? Is he ahead of schedule? Is he behind schedule? But it's not for, Colts Nation, man. It's not going to be for like another 3 weeks. So y'all just need to cool it out, and let's just see what Eason has. Let's see him in some preseason games. Hopefully he can be some sort, let's say Carson misses the first 4 games. Can he go 2-2? That's that. Do you think he could go to? No. it's a horrible question because you're going to say no because he's looked so poor.
No.
And it's the worst possible time for it to happen in regards to the schedule.
But
it's the hardest opening schedule.
To be fair to Jacob Eason, if we want to play devil's advocate, it would be hard for Carson Wentz to go 2-2, right?
Yeah, like it's a tough schedule.
A tough first month of football, no matter who you are and who you're playing, who's lining up. So as far as going record wise, and I think the reason why I would personally probably venture that veteran market a little bit more if he's going to be out the 12 weeks is I still think that this is a playoff football team, and I like the opportunity midway through the season to still have a chance to make the playoffs. There's 7 teams. We're playing an extra game this year. I don't want the season to be over with before it even gets started, and
I'm with you with that. Yeah.
I'm not being doom and gloom. I don't want to sit here and say I don't think that Jacob Eason can win any game. I think this team is really, really, really built to win gritty, tough games, but it's going to be a different way. Like we can't run quite as an aggressive style offense that Frank Reich loves to run with a Jacob Eason if he's limited. Now, Frank feels like he's comfortable. He's learning the offense. He's making some of the bigger throws, the NFL throws that you have to make, cutting down on mistakes. Maybe we do. I've heard he's done a lot of checking down. That's very typical for a young quarterback. Right. I don't have a problem with him checking down. He's going to have to challenge cornerbacks down the field. He's got a big arm, right? Nobody has any question about how big his arm is, but how accurate is he with that big arm? Jacoby Brissett could throw the ball 70 yards down the field, no doubt about it, but he couldn't hit anybody in stride most of the time. That was one of his biggest deficiencies. Can Eason use the big arm to his advantage and really stretch defenses and then come back into doing some of those shorter routes, those check downs? And this year, the dynamic of our football team has changed so much. I think really, truly one of the things that's going to be a silver lining for us if we're able to kind of get through this tough patch is Ballard signed Marlon Mack. And I think we're going to have to hit this running game so hard and so heavy early on in the season just to give Eason a little bit of time to throw the football, spread the field out, and maybe eventually pop over the top, on some deeper routes as far as that goes. But
because if he can, you tell me what you think with it. If anybody can coach him up to withstand maybe a 4-game stretch, at most maybe let's say a 5-game stretch where we're comfortable, you have to feel comfortable with Reich because he has done it. The big question, like you were saying too, is you've got this stable of running backs that are amazing. Can Eason make people remember that he does have this howitzer on his shoulder, this cannon for an arm, and respect it? Because if they can do that, then that running game is going to open up even more, and he can rely on that. And then he can go, he can dink and dunk and down. So it's a nerve-wracking. Let me ask you one more question about this. If you're going to sign a veteran, who would you look at? And I know there's all these things out like, Mariota could get cut. There's all these different Minshew.
Yeah.
Who realistically would you look?
That's a very hard question. Look, I don't think I'll be honest with you. I don't think Nick Foles isn't even a consideration.
Oh God, yes, thank you.
I think Foles. I think he sucks. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't think he's that good of a quarterback, and I just don't think they want to do that to Carson. I don't think they want to put him in that situation. We all know the history of Nick Foles backing up Carson Wentz and then Nick Foles coming in and having this incredible little 1-month run, right? And then all of a sudden everybody's questioning, hey, do we start Nick Foles or do we start Carson Wentz? I don't think they want that headache or that distraction.
Right.
So I don't expect it to be him. I'll be honest. I don't really know. I would be interested in seeing some of those names out there. There's not a good pool of veteran guys out there right now. It's really, really, really difficult. If nothing else, I think I like the thought of at least having a veteran in the room to help Eason learn the film study part of the game, and maybe they say, hey, with Hundley, that's what they brought him in there for. He may not be that guy who can compete for that starting job, but at least he's been in a room, with some guys in the past. Not a lot of great options, Stephen. I mean, we would have to see who freed up. There's always a surprise, though. There's always a guy who hits that market that you're like, oh my gosh, man, I didn't think he would get cut.
Right.
I think that might settle out, but I think Frank Reich is committed to Jacob Eason. I think he wants to make this work. If Frank Reich wants to make something work, he's going to give it everything he's got to kind of formulate an offense. And I think he's going to push Jacob. I really do. I think he's going to use these next 2 weeks to start pushing Jacob and saying, all right, it's time to take the training wheels off. It's time to start throwing the football. We need to see what you got for real live bullets. By the time we go out there in that first preseason game, I think it's the Carolina Panthers, right? That's that home preseason game. Yeah, I think we need to kind of have a little bit better gauge of what we got with Jacob. And I don't think it's advantageous to our football team to baby him and treat him like he's just a simple second-year guy. Like, he's not going to start – like, I'll give you an example. If Jacob was going to start one game, right, then you maybe build this custom game plan for just one game to get through that game and have a chance to win, and then life goes on, right? And it's all over. Yeah. But I think this guy's got to be able to play football for this team for maybe a stretch now. So if he's going to do that, it's going to have to be the Colts offense. It can't be Jacob Eason. Now, will he tailor it a little bit to his strong suits? Absolutely. But I think Frank Reich is going to say, if you want to be our quarterback for our team, you're going to run our style of football. We're going to run the RPOs. We're going to challenge you down the field. We're going to hit you with tons and tons and tons of crossers. We're going to utilize our running backs out of the backfield. All of that stuff matters. And dude, it's going to be a hot topic the whole training camp. We're probably going to have many podcasts, many segments on it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, because I think so when you were talking about bringing veteran leadership in, I think in my heart of heart, what I would like to believe is as Carson's rehabbing, Carson's still in that room. He's not going to go back to North Dakota and rehab. He's going to be here in Indy. And so the hope that I would have is that he might be able to be that person kind of giving that advice and saying, hey, look here, this is what you do here. Now, obviously, they're very different game plans, too. They're very different players on how they approach the game. But, I mean, that would be my hope. I'm with you, though. I don't want any part of Foles. I've had that. I've heard that. As soon as the surgery was announced, it was like everyone started talking about it. And it's like, I don't want any part of it. And if you ranked the players that Frank Reich loves more than anything, like children, it's Carson Wentz, it's Phillip Rivers, and it's Nick Foles. It's like you hear, there's no person that he cares for more deeply than Carson Wentz. We learned that last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, we're going to be talking about this throughout leading up to the regular season. And if Eason's there in the season, obviously we're going to be talking about it in the week, in week one. So let's get off of that. Let's go. So you had your video that came up where we were able to talk about kind of some instant reactions to training camp. Let's kind of talk about week one, man, like full week one. Let's take it all in.
Yeah.
What did we think? Who's done well, who's done poorly? What do we feel as Colts fans coming out of this week?
Yeah, so like I mentioned on the video earlier, and I kind of doubled down on that. The No Horsing Around podcast, we're pretty good friends with George Bremer. We do what we can do to talk to him in his time. He's always treated us very well. Mm-hmm. And the sentiment from not just him, but Stephen Holder, all the big ones, Zach Kiefer, Kevin Bowen, the name that I've heard the most so far that's just popped and just looked incredible so far is Bobby Okereke. Man, I've heard in general our defense has just played lights out. Now that probably has to do with it. You're going against, young rookie second-year quarterbacks. That probably does help a little bit, but you got to give their credit where credit's due. And Bobby Okereke's been flying around the field. so far, he's been the star of the camp from what I can tell. There's been some other nice moments. I think Pittman Jr. is starting to kind of elevate his game. We talked about our excitement for him, in the offseason. We had many segments, many times talking about Pittman Jr., just what can he be. We're starting to see that, even when that, we talked about that pass earlier in this podcast. Eason throws that ball a little bit short, but he just climbs up to that next level and just rips that ball out of the air. That's the types of plays at USC that Michael Pittman was just notorious for. And not just that, but that's who he is. If he wants to be a wide receiver one, a guy who's one of those well-respected, he wants to take that torch from T.Y. Hilton this year. Those are the types of plays that he'll be expected to make. It's never about, with the good receivers, it's never about the passes that they're supposed to catch. I always think about this in my mind. Reggie Wayne always caught the ones that he wasn't supposed to catch. Like, that was amazing to me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what makes him special compared to just your everyday, your normal wide receiver in the NFL. They catch those balls that you're like, I just don't understand. Like, I just don't understand how he was able to catch that football. And today was a little bitty glimpse of something like that. That was a special play, I would say, helping his quarterback out in a tough moment. And as far as some other players that have stood out, I think just in general that Kwity Paye is popping a little bit faster. We talked about this. It's kind of interesting, Steven. I want to get your take on it. We talked about this last week before camp really got fired up, and I made a prediction that Sam Tevy was going to get beat out by Will Holden, right? You remember that?
It's looking pretty good.
Listen, I'm gonna go out on a limb at this moment and say I'm not sure that Sam Tevy even makes this damn football team, man.
He looked bad, man.
Like he is getting absolutely, like, if you told me later this week or early next week that the Indianapolis Colts brought in like a veteran or a guy who's kind of milled around the NFL at tackle to compete for like a camp body, that wouldn't surprise me. And that would say to me that Sam Tevy, we're just about done with this experiment, as far as that goes. Like he is going against a rookie, and he is literally, for all intents and purposes, I like to call a term I like to call whoop ass. When a defensive guy goes out there and just puts some whoop ass on you, and Kwity Paye is doing that to Sam. He's abusing Sam Tevy. I mean, he really is. This is a guy who's practiced 1 week in the NFL and is literally just blowing him up play after play after play. Now we can all say, "Hey, Tevy's bad," but we got to give Kwity his just due, man. I mean, he's really, really responded. He's kind of foots the bill. Everything that the Colts thought they had in him. And another guy that I wasn't very high on, and I was really, really thinking, man, I'm not sure if he's going to cut it. Kamoko Ture's looked good. I've heard some really good reports from Kamoko, and I'm happy for the guy, man. I mean, I'm happy that he's getting in there. And they're using him the right way. He's a rotational. He's a specialist, right? Like Tyquan Lewis is going to be the starter most likely, but Ture's going to be the closer. I mean, he's going to be the guy that comes in there on those obvious passing downs and really can kind of blow by those guys. Him and Kwity on the edges on 3rd and long.
Was it all gas, no brake, baby? Just go. IndyCar package.
That's a NASCAR package right there, baby.
Oh, I mean, man, make it happen.
You know what I can't wait till, Steven, until all health is out of the way. We're all healthy. And I look up on my screen and I see Kamoko Ture, Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, and Dio lined up on that line.
Holy smokes.
That's a scary lineup. What are you going to do, man? Like, what are you going to do with those 4 guys coming at you? I mean, you want to talk about length, size, speed, athleticism at every single level. That's going to be special to watch. And I look forward to that. What are you hearing, man? Is there anybody you're excited about, or you've heard anything?
So it's interesting, So I jumped on Bring the Juice last night with Cody, and we kind of talked a little bit about this too. And so with Tevy, I take the O-line kind of together, right? And I give them a little bit more grace. Obviously, you don't have Fisher. You don't have Kelly right now. Kelly's out for a couple of weeks with a dislocated elbow. Yeah. So you're missing a couple pieces. And you have essentially a rookie quarterback who's not used to the pressure, who the knock on him coming out of college was the pressure. So I kind of take it in a snapshot with them. I'll tell you. So who I like, who I've seen a lot that I have liked, Paris Campbell's looked great. He's popped off the screen. He looks slick. He looks fast. He looks healthy. I think he's looked fantastic. I think Pittman, like you said, has looked amazing. He looks like a guy like me and you have predicted. Halfway through the season, he's going to be the number one receiver. It's just how it's going to be. He's going to kind of just take that ascension, and it looks like he's going to keep going with it. You hope that the transition from Carson to Eason doesn't affect that too much. I think it'll be okay. I think he'll be kind of like the security blanket. Flipping over to the other side, it's kind of funny when you mentioned George, is that we asked him, you remember, who do you want to see? And he's like, it better be Quiddy. He was like, it better be Quiddy. You invested in this first round pick, and you've got to have it. I'm so excited for Kamoko. Everything I've read has said like he looks fully healthy. He's showing the flashes again. So toss out last season. Obviously, we know he wasn't healthy. He had to have another procedure done. He wasn't healthy. Okereke is the star of camp, 100%. 100%. Everything you see, he's not only is he doing everything, and I think something I said to Cody was he's getting all the shine because Leonard's not in there right now. So everyone's looking at him, and he's making these big splash plays. He's making picks. He's looked amazing. He looks like a Pro Bowler. He looks like a potential Pro Bowler. I'm not going to say all pro, but a Pro Bowler. I'm going to throw a name out, man. I'm going to throw a name out of someone who I have been impressed with. It's Ben Banigou, man. Ben Banigou has looked good.
This is fair. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm gonna say lots of things on these podcasts, and I like to think that I'm right more times than I'm wrong. But up until this point, he has looked good.
We're 1 weekend. We're 1 weekend.
We're 1 weekend, and I'm not sure that he's beaten anybody out at this point. But as far as making this roster, he looks on track. I don't know what their plan is for him and where he falls into the rotation as far as that goes. But you are right. He has looked really good. Man, congratulations to Braden Smith for getting the 4-year extension, right?
Oh, yes. We were wrong. I think I texted you right away.
100%.
We were wrong.
100%. And I think we all follow the maniac on Twitter, and I think he's a little impatient with that. Hopefully that's just a little more of just joking and kind of barbing a little bit. He's going to get his money. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's next up. He's going to get paid. I'd like to see that get done before the season, Steven, just because I don't want him to have to go into the season all long and have this tension and have that hanging over his head. I want to see him get paid. They're going to pay him.
Well, because he's also someone who he'll hold a grudge.
Yeah.
I don't know how he'll hold it against the Colts, but the dude is known to he has a snapshot on his phone of the report that said he was the worst pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So he remembers. I think I'm with you. I think it gets done. I do think it gets done.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
I mean, so let me ask this, man, before we go to the next portion, who are some people that you're outside of Tevy? Who's a couple more that's kind of disappointed you? Who's not looked great?
As far as not look great, I don't think that there's been a whole lot of action going on. I think the one thing we've just been overwhelmed by this Carson Wentz news. So I don't feel like we've got as much. I haven't been down there to camp. I'm going as we're recording Monday night. I'm going Saturday to camp. So I'll be there. I'm going to try to take
for a special episode from Zach.
Exactly. From camp, live videos. I'm going to do all that stuff. I'll tweet at everybody. But I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of Hines' names. I haven't heard Naeem's name mentioned a whole lot. Jack Doyle's not a name I've heard really at all. That doesn't mean they're not doing anything. It's been hard because we've had some players out with COVID and all of that good stuff, and we're just starting to get those guys back. Overall, the defense has just been outstanding. from what I can tell and from what I can gather, Quentin had a little bitty minor little walk off today, and then he came back on the field, so everything's good. We always know Ryan Kelly's out for a few weeks. He's a veteran. They're not going to push that injury. They're going to let him be out as long as he needs to be out to go ahead and get healed up and be 100% ready for the season. But there hasn't been anybody that I really feel like. I guess if I had to say somebody, and this is not me being a Debbie Downer, I guess Jacob Eason too. Just because he's not looked super great in his small limited role and doing what he's wanting to do. But he got Frank Reich back today. I'm pretty confident that one day film study, Frank gets right after it. I have no doubt that Frank right now is looking at every one of his throws today, and he's going to go back tomorrow and say, all right, here we are. This is where we made the mistakes. This is the breakdown. Yeah. This is how we should have read this play. He's a great teacher of the game. That's one thing that I love about Frank. Two things that he has going for him is he's such a great mind as a quarterback because he was a quarterback, right? Like he understands the position. But Frank overall is just – he's one of those rare leaders that you just want to play hard for, man. I mean, like he's just a guy that you genuinely want to get up and just run through a wall for Frank Reich. I mean, he's just that type of guy. And I would say that no matter who he was the coach for. He's just a great human being, and he's a great coach, but not a lot of real bad reports as far as camp's going so far. We're pretty early in. We haven't had a lot of practices. Full pads today. I think we're going to see some more full pads at some point this week. So things should start heating up a little bit. And with our coach back, I expect the intensity to just get a little bit bigger every single day. And now that we know that Wentz is out of the picture for a few weeks, I think we're going to get back onto the players, the ones who are actually on the field, and we'll probably get some more accurate updates as it goes along.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, here on No Horsing, like we'll own up. Rock has not looked good. Rock has not looked great so far.
Well, because he's not good. So that's
he's gonna look so nice.
Man,
it's gonna look so good. No, even plays that he's getting beat, which is different because he's not holding. He's trying not to hold now, so he's just getting beat. But he's not looked great. He's not. That's the only one I can think. And I mean, if you're doing a list, like you've got Eason, and I think maybe you put Carson on there only because he's hurt and it stinks. But I mean, before he looked great. Like he was looking fantastic. So the only one I'll own up, he's not looked great right now. Marvell Tell has looked good. So I mean, I'm with you. We got the coach back. We know Wentz is down. Like I think. So they can focus on the players. All the attention is going to go back on the players now. And, before you know it, I think, Field Yates put out a tweet today saying, like, this is it. Football every weekend now till the Super Bowl, college or pro. Like, so we're getting ready to kick off. So, I mean, I do have one more question for you because it was something that I was thinking about. So, because I'm just curious to get your answer. What were you more excited about? To see Carson Wentz play in the preseason this year, or to have seen Jacob Eason play last year?
I'm more excited to see Carson play this year. Yeah, I wanted to see him. I wanted to see the development and all of this offseason and the buildup and everything that we've heard with the mechanics training and the mental, aspect. I just love how he's approached this offseason. He's invited people to come down and hang out with him, throw footballs with him. So I'm really bummed, man, by the Carson Wentz, setback. We call it injury, whatever you want to call it. I call it a setback. I guess the only silver lining in all of it is there's maybe a potential that we don't lose a first round pick with all of this. Yeah. I'd rather lose the first round pick. I'll be honest.
I'd gladly lose the first round pick.
I'll give the first. If you told me right now that Carson Wentz gets to come back week 1 or week 2 and we lose the first round pick, I'm in 10 out of 10 times. I accept that and I'll move on.
I just want him back by week 3, so when they play the Titans, so I don't have to hear it. Like that's it. Like I for those who follow me on Twitter, like I to quote my buddy Adam Raymer, I chose violence this past weekend towards Titans fans. I was tweeting pictures of their Super Bowl loss. I was tweeting pictures of the record against the Colts because all of them just had nothing but flapping of the gums after Wentz went down. So, okay, so let's jump over to one of our favorite segments, obviously, which is the social media sessions powered by One Call Technology. As you guys know, One Call Technology is a telecommunications company. It's locally run, family owned, been around, have over 100 years of experience with all the employees there. If you think you're paying too much on your bill, go to onecalltech.com. I added a lovely little banner at the bottom too. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, which shout out to you guys, our YouTube channel has just like kind of exploded over the last like week. Check out the number there. Make sure you're subscribed too. We got some cool announcements at the end. We're going to cover a couple of questions here, and then we got some pretty cool things that we want to talk about. So let's kind of jump into these questions. We'll try to do a handful. We always try to do a handful of questions whenever we can. We love getting to you guys, and especially on this platform, it's probably one of the coolest things in the world that we can do. I'm not going to show you guys my password again today, so Will you let me lead off with the first question? I got one from Nate. Yes. Go ahead and do it while I get in here.
I promised him I would get to it. Nate at Hit12 says, "Can we calm down and see what happens? How do y'all feel about this offensive line and running back group?" I think it's just deep breath time. Everybody can kind of react, calm down. As far as the quarterback, we've hit so much on that, Nate. That's for obvious reasons, right? The quarterback position is the most important position in pro football, and it always has been. As far as our offensive line and our running back group, I feel really, really good. I feel like we're in a good place with that. Even with our backups and our depth, I feel like we have a little bit better depth on the offensive line this year. And then that running back core, man. I mean, you got Taylor, you got Hines, you got Mack. You got a really, really nice stable veteran. Guys who could probably, honestly, you have three guys that could probably start on a lot of teams in the NFL. And when you got a guy like Marlon Mack, who I'm sure that, I put this poll out, and I was just kind of mostly just joking, just getting a cool conversation going on. But a guy like the Rams that would love to have a guy like Marlon Mack after Cam Akers went down. It's nice to have that in your back pocket, especially if you're going to have to be a little bit more run heavy early on in the season with a younger quarterback. So Nate, great question, man. And I really think that, I think that this offensive line and this running game is going to be better this year than they were last year, to answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think the hardest thing right now is football is back. We're in training camp. But Zach, man, you said it best. You took the word right out of my mouth. Everyone's got to take a breath. You got to breathe. Obviously, Carson sucks. For lack of a better word, he kind of sucks the air out of the room right now. But at the same time, it's a loaded backfield. I've had argument with people that I think it's one of the best backfields in the NFL. I think it's probably the best. A fun argument I've had a lot lately is what running back room would you rather have, the Colts or the Titans? And I know you don't really like Derrick Henry as much, but that's a huge debate. And I mean, I would take the Colts just because of the depth. You've got two 1,000-yard rushers who are in the backfield, and you've got Nyheim Hines, who's just like a Swiss Army knife. So, I mean, I feel okay. I feel okay about it. I mean, take a breath, relax. It's the first week of training camp. It'll be okay. That's the theme. It'll be okay. Exactly. So, okay. So I've got it up now. Okay. So one of the questions that I see here that I really do like is how long until they pull the plug on Rock Ya-Sin? That's from Russ Morse.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like I'm always coming down on Rock, Steven, man. I mean,
him over his head, Zach.
In my mind, what I see from Rock in a perfect world for Rock Ya-Sin in the NFL, if I'm being 100% honest, is I see him being a rotational cornerback in the NFL. I don't think he's a cornerback 1 or a cornerback 2 in the NFL. that's not his fault, man. I mean, I just think that he just doesn't have enough lateral quickness to really play with these receivers in the NFL, man. They're so fast and they're so agile.
He's so handsy. That's the issue for me.
He just can't keep his hands off of people. And I think that's a habit that he's gotten into. And it's a habit, quite frankly, is a habit because he's a little bit slower cornerback. So what do you do when somebody blows by you? You reach out to grab them, right? Like, because you don't want them to leave you. You don't want to give up the big play or the touchdown, especially in a 4-3 defense that's designed to not give up big plays. I don't think he's going to win the cornerback 2 job this year. I really don't. I think it's going to be Tell or TJ Carey. I don't know who's going to win that. Personally, if I had to guess right here, right now, I think TJ Carey is a fighter, and I think TJ Carey starts the season as your number 1. I don't know. Maybe Tell has a little bit more upside. Tell's a Ballard guy, right? Like, he has length, he's tall, he's physical, he can do some kind of unique things. You hear that word unique come out of Chris Ballard's mouth all the time. So Tell has that unique trait to him. But I think Rock slides down that depth chart, and I just don't think Rock is really, really good for our 4-3 system. So, I don't think he's gonna last very long, man. I really don't.
It's tough, man. It's tough because I do like I'm obviously the resident Rock liker on this show. But I don't know, man. I've said that I think he will not get benched. I think he will play if he is not starting, it is because he has played his way out of that starting role. He has given them no choice. I think they're going to give him every opportunity that they can. I foresee if he loses the spot, I think it's to Tell. I think Marvell, like you said, he's a Ballard guy. He's a Ballard pick. I mean, so is Rock, but he's looked good, and he looked good before he took the year off last year. So, I mean, if he's not the starter, he has given them the reason to bench him. And I mean, that's his own fault. Like, he's getting as much road as he needs at this point from the Colts. So let's scan through here a little bit more. Let's see if we can't find another good one. Here you go. Bradley Carr. Who is going to be QB3? Nowadays, that's a really fun question because Carson is not QB1 right now. Eason is. So who is QB3? I think we carry 3.
I don't know. That's a great question. Probably not. I thought they probably would early on. I think that they would want to have a veteran behind Jacob Eason, right? If he has to go out there and march out there week 1, I just have a hard time believing that you're going to have a 6th-round pick and a rookie going out there and being his backup in case of an injury. It's kind of a bad break for Ehlinger because I thought Ehlinger in a different dynamic and a different setting had a very good chance to compete with Jacob Eason for that second job. I really did. That being said, I just think the Colts are more comfortable with Eason right now. He's been with the team longer. They know what they have, and he's now going to be QB1. And because of that, I think Hundley would be the QB2, and then Ehlinger would be QB3.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, that's same line of thinking. Eason's 1. I think in a couple of weeks, personally, and this is me not knowing anything. Y'all, Colts Nation, I don't know a damn thing when it comes to this. I think it's hearing Reich, hearing them speak. I think they're banking on the shorter end, that 5 to 6, 5 to 7. So I think they're going to be perfectly content trying to stay afloat with Eason. So I think Eason's 1 right now. And for all those people who love Eason, we get to finally see what does he look like. Does he have a future? Is he the backup? Is he a trade probability? Like, does he look that good if you believe in Carson that much? And the interesting thing with Hundley is, he came out and said he had planned to sign with him before the Carson injury. They had been talking to him prior to it. So this was not a knee-jerk reaction to Carson going down. So I think that's an interesting one. Ellinger, I don't. The only thing with him is I don't know where the snaps come from now. I think Eason's going to get so many that there's just not enough to necessarily go fully around for him. I think he kind of is going to get that short end of the stick. So, I mean, I think that's where I'm with you. I think that's kind of where we sit with the quarterback position in general. So, great questions, you guys. Like, we mark them off the list. We asked for them. Zach's question that he led off the session with literally came in right as we were getting ready to record. Like, he put a tweet out, hey, we're recording, and boom, question. We love you guys for it. So, I mean, we can't thank you guys enough. So I wanted to take a few minutes here at the end because we've got a couple of things that we want to talk about with you guys. We want to reiterate a couple of things, and then we want to kind of announce a couple of things. So obviously in the solo episode that I did, we had an announcement. I'm going to let Zach do it on this one because it was his idea. So I just got lucky enough to be able to announce it first. So Zach, why don't you go ahead and tell him?
Sure. So we just wanted to talk. I talked to Stephen earlier on the off season. We were just so grateful for the the following, the connection, just the camaraderie we have with the Colts community, and we want to do something special. We talked about doing a ticket giveaway. I thought that was a really cool thing. So we're going to give 2 tickets. 2 tickets against the Carolina Panthers, first home game of the preseason away. And we're right now we switched over to the platform of StreamYard. We have the ability to do these pre-recorded things, but we're going to try something new, fun, and exciting. We're going to go over to some live video casts as well. So we would ask you guys, if you're listening to this, rate, review, like, subscribe, share, do everything like you already have been doing, but join us on that first live stream. We're going to do a live ticket giveaway. Like we're not going to, I don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to put in a randomizer. We're going to pull a name out of the hat. We're going to call it out right then and there. We'll probably do it sometime middle of the way in the podcast. We won't make you wait all the way through, but we would like you to join with us. We would like you to be a part of it. And we're going to come up with the rules, regulations. Steve and I will tweet all of that out. You guys will know it'll be all plain and clear, black and white, simple to understand. And, it's just our way of saying thank you. We know how I can just speak for myself and Steven as well, how important it is that you guys interact with us, because we love this community. We love the Colts. We love the Colts community in general. And even if we weren't podcasting, we would still be a part of this community. We'd still be having these conversations because we're a family, and I said it on my last, solo training camp review, join the family, join the No Horsing Around family, because that's what we really are. We're asking you just to tap in, like, rate, review, subscribe, and join our family. We're not asking you to not be a part of something. We're asking you to be a part of this, and it's cool, man. We want your voice to be heard. That's why we do the social media sessions. We want your thoughts to be, heard throughout all of these different platforms that we're on, whether you're visual and you like YouTube, or you want that instant click and you want that Twitter going on, or if you're a Facebook follower, and maybe you check it 2 or 3, 4 times a week. We want your guys' feedback. And I said this from day one, even if you don't disagree, or if you do disagree with what Steve and I are saying, state your claim, man. We'll call you out. We'll give you your credit. We'll do it live on a live stream. We'll do it on a podcast. But, more than anything, I'll speak for myself, and I'll turn it over to Steven. I am super grateful for you guys and just the interaction I've had with so many cool different people. It's awesome, man. And I think there's no greater feeling than you guys getting to go and sit in front of the of the stadium that's actually going to be filled up. We don't have any rules, any stipulations. Anybody can go. They can fill that whole thing up, and somebody's going to get to see Jacob Eason in his very first game as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Not the QB you thought, but
we didn't know that was going to happen. So you're really going to get to see Carson Wentz, and now you're going to get to see Jacob Eason. But if you want to see him, you want to see him live, and you don't want to watch him on TV, join in next week on our live stream, and somebody's going home, and you're going to have those tickets. We're either going to email them out or electronically transfer them. We'll figure that part out. But we look forward to it, and we're excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I am. I mean, we've seen, like we joked, we've seen it kind of explode over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the last week specifically. We're excited. We've been, so y'all know, to kind of let you behind the no horsing curtain a little bit. We've been talking about, one, the ticket giveaway since the beginning of the off season, and two, we've been talking about starting to go live since probably about 2 months ago. So this has been really planned out. We feel like we have enough of a connection with you guys that this is going to be something that's really cool. You know, the live streams, they're not going to be all the time, but they're going to be fun. You know, they're going to be, maybe you get like we joked, maybe you get Zach live out at training camp. Maybe you get a live reaction on something big that's just massive that just came down. I think the only stipulation, I was sitting here thinking, for the ticket giveaway is, we want you guys like in here. We want you guys here. We want you guys in the comments. We want you guys in the live stream. So one, we know you're interacting, but two, we can feel your reaction too. You know, for those who haven't interacted with us on the live stream or haven't interacted in that way, you guys can drop comments. We can pop them up. People can see them. We're going to give you a ticker on whoever wins. We're going to give you a shout out. We want you here for that. That's the only stipulation I think that I would want to put on it. Absolutely. Is I want you guys here. I want you guys to be able to enjoy it with us. I mean, that's it, man. That's all I got. It's been a hell of a week.
Yeah.
It's been ups and downs, and you know, like I joked, I've chose violence against Titans fans and Eagles fans. It's just the way that life is right now as a Colts fan. But yeah, like Zach said, join next week. Next week, you're going to get the reminder. When we do go live, it'll be on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you can see all those ones. You need to be on Twitter. You need to be on YouTube to be able to comment. So you can get in, you can drop in there and you can comment and things like that. But we'll go live on all that. You guys will get reminders for all of that so you won't miss it. Man, I got nothing else. You got anything?
No, man.
Okay, well, you know how we end it, man. I love you. Zach loves you. We're out.